Welcome everybody back to the Typewriter video series. This is Joe, and today I'm going to talk about typing platforms. What are typing platforms? Stay tuned, we'll find out. Well, over the years I've typed in a lot of different places around my house. I've typed indoors, I've typed outdoors, I've typed on my lap, I've typed on different desks and tables. And one of the most convenient places to type is one of these little folding wooden tray tables, and they're nice because they're lightweight, small, they're easy to carry around. And a few years ago in this office I had my folding tray table here, and I was using it more as a regular kind of typing table. And one of the things I noticed when I was typing was like this. If you notice, the angle of my wrist right here is bent. You notice this weird angle? Well, I started noticing that it was kind of an uncomfortable angle to type on. It felt like my wrists were kind of too far down, bent like this. And I thought at the time, what I should do is I should try to elevate the typewriter a little bit. If the typewriter is a little higher, my wrist could be straighter, a little more ergonomic, a little more relaxed and easy to type on. And actually, when I first discovered this, it wasn't with this Underwood portable. It was actually with the Facet 1620. And so here it is, the Facet 1620, and again, it's about the same height keyboard-wise as the Underwood, most of them, most portables. Anyways, I had this kind of bent angle to my wrist that just doesn't feel comfortable. So I went out to my workshop, this is a couple years ago, and I cobbled together a little wooden platform, and the one I built was actually almost 7 inches tall. It actually put the typewriter up kind of like this. But recently I revisited this idea and I kind of rebuilt the platform a little bit more closer to what it should have been originally. And so let me show it to you. This is it right here. Let's get a piece of paper. So it's a very comfortable typing position. My forearms are essentially nice and straight. My wrists are straight. They're not bent down like that at an uncomfortable angle. For me, this is about solar plexus height in this chair with this table. It's a really nice, comfortable typing position. Well, first of all, my folding tray table is about 26 inches from the floor to the table surface. And the platform I built is about 4 inches high to the surface here where the typewriter sits. That puts the platform surface about 29 3/4, almost 30 inches above the floor. So I have this old metal typing table. This is a Tiffany brand, Tiffany stand, not Tiffany as in Tiffany, but this Tiffany. Anyways, it has a surface that's about 27 inches above the floor. And so what seems to work for me the best is a little bit higher than the traditional typing table. Well, let's take a look at this platform, shall we? So it's made from scraps of wood. This is how I usually build things. Let's take this off. It's a piece of 1/2 inch oak plywood, and the dimensions, which aren't critical, dimensions are about 13 inches by about 9.5, 13 by 9.5, okay? And I'm using pieces of 2x4. So just scraps of 2x4 as the 4 support legs. And then I'm using pieces of this black rubber, this is like toolbox drawer liner. You can buy it in rolls at the hardware store, and I used a hot glue gun, high temperature hot glue gun, to glue the little rubber feet down. And I've countersunk the screws into the wood so they're flat. And I had some scraps of 1.25 by 1/4 inch thick oak, and I just screwed them on the sides, on the 3 sides back here, to make like a little rail so the typewriter won't easily slip off. The important thing really about this is that the footprint of your typewriter, especially the feet of the typewriter, make sure that it fits on the platform. So what you're going to want to do is kind of measure several of your typewriters, measure the feet on the bottom, or at least the bottom dimensions, and get an idea for how large it has to be to accommodate the largest portable typewriter. Now, one of the important things to note here is it doesn't need to be the full depth of the typewriter. It's okay to have part of the keyboard cantilevered over the front of the platform like it would be if you have the two front feet here close to the edge like that. It's okay with a bigger typewriter. The big thing is make sure that the rear feet are up against the back rail, and make sure you at least have about an inch or so clearance more on the front than the front feet, so that if the typewriter wants to start sliding, it's not going to easily fall off. But it's a nice little platform. And oh yeah, one other thing, let's talk about that sliding off. As it is, the standard platform, of course, is made of plywood, and so I had some more of that toolbox shelf liner, drawer liner, rubber matting, cut a piece to fit. And then my wife had found this white patterned kind of shelf liner for the kitchen. Also has a nice grippy surface, and it works really well as a typing pad. So I kind of put both of these on there. So it looks kind of nice. Nice little pattern to it like that. And you can set the typewriter up like that, and now you have yourself a little typing platform that elevates the typewriter up to more of an ideal position for your personal ergonomics. So even the Facet 1620, it's a more medium-sized typewriter, so its front feet are all the way back here. They're over 4 inches behind the front of the typewriter. So I have a good 3 inches between the front feet and the actual front of the platform, and I could bring it forward even more, and it would cantilever the keyboard out even further in front of it, but the center of mass of the typewriter is still pretty well centered in the center of the platform. So plenty of stability there. And the platform, as I indicated earlier, is not really that big. The important thing, though, is making sure that the height is right for you. Now, I happen to be using 2x4s on top of a 1/2-inch platform. So, you know, 2x4s aren't really 4 inches wide, right? They're roughly 3.5. So this makes it, with a 1/2-inch plywood, it makes it about 4 inches tall. And that seems to be about right for me for using on the folding tray table. Now, let's talk about where else I can use this platform at. And so, this is the other thing I discovered. It is a perfect height for standing at my workbench and doing standing up typing. It's great. It gives me perfect angle on my wrists. It's just very comfortable. I can stand here, I kind of move around. And, you know, sometimes I get a little tired of sitting all the time, right? And what's great is to have a workbench out here, put the typewriter on the platform. Boy, I can just type and move around a little bit, and I can kind of set the typewriter off to the side if I want to, work on something else. I can move over to it and type something if I want to. Yeah, I really love the idea of stand-up typing. And it kind of reminds me that we have these commercials on TV lately for a product called the Veridesk, and there's a couple other products similar to it. It's an adjustable desk for your computer. Well, this is not adjustable, but it certainly gives you the same kind of an idea, more of a stand-up kind of a typing posture, which I think is really great. Well, oftentimes, the simplest ideas are the best ideas. This is not high-tech. This is just a simple, primitive platform made of wood. You might think to yourself, Joe, I could just do the same thing by getting a stack of books and putting it on there. And I don't doubt that you could do that pretty easily. The problem with books, of course, is that they're kind of slippery. And what this gives you is a little ledge right here that enables you to keep the typewriter secure, and the little rubbery pad on top that keeps it from moving around. And you're kind of custom making it for your personal ergonomics, how your wrist and hands feel, and also your chair height and the kind of tables that you might be using your portable typewriters on. That dictates the height of the platform you're going to use. But if you're going to build something like that, use some scrap lumber if you have it laying around the house, some 2x4s in the American standard of less than 4 inches thick, like 3 5/8 or whatever it is, 1/2-inch plywood, a little bit of a rail here to keep the typewriter from slipping off. Simple hand tools. You don't have to get fancy with woodworking or anything. You put some sandpaper on it, sand off those splinters and sharp edges. Yes, this is a simple platform, very primitive, but you could get a little more complex with your design. How about trying to make something like a Varidesk, a variable height articulating platform, if you want to get fancy with it? Or build your own platform with a little holder for a little pen and pencil and maybe a place to put your correction tape or correct type strips. You know, customize it. Put some wallpaper on it, paint it up with flowers, however you want to decorate it. Make it your platform for your typewriters. The important thing is not the platform, but it's raising your typewriter up to a more ergonomic position where you can type better. Now, you think about back in the day of typewriters, and they had these typing tables that I showed you earlier, and they were at a fixed height. Well, they're not necessarily the perfect height for you. Chairs weren't always adjustable like a lot of office chairs are now. And some typing tables were adjustable, some weren't. But people had to just get used to working around the limitations of what they had to work with. Whereas nowadays, if you're going to build your own custom typing situation, why not make it really custom for your particular ergonomics, for your hands and wrists to feel really good? As I said earlier, with my particular ergonomics, I kind of like having a little higher of a typing position, almost you might want to call it a hamster perch kind of thing. I don't like having my wrists bent like that. I prefer a little bit higher because not only are my forearms and wrists straight, but it gives me a little more leverage actually for operating the manual keyboard, right? It gives your fingers a little bit more leverage. Works good for me. Anyways, there's an idea for you guys, a real simple platform. Build it to your custom height that you need it for your ergonomics. Happy typing. This is all intended to make typing easier for you so you can sit longer at your typewriter and do more creative work. And I hope you stick with it. Do great creative work. Until next time, have yourselves a great day.